muted.
My name is Luke, and thank you very much for joining us. I'm joined, as always, by my host, Harry. Harry, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Pleasure to be here as always, Luke. Yeah, nice to see everyone. Nice to have a few guests on as well today. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Exactly. I'll run through the guests really quickly. So we'll start with Perchy. Perchy, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Good to have you on. And Josh, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Great to be on the podcast. Really looking forward to getting into lots of interesting stuff.
Amazing. And Gareth, first time on the show. How you doing?
Yeah, gents, thank you very much for having me on. Like Josh, I'm looking forward to a mass debate this early on a Saturday morning.
Gotta be done.
Luke, if you've never met me before, this is where it goes.
Oh dear.
No problem with that at all. Harry, let's jump on to Thursday night and talk Manchester United. Give us kind of your overall thoughts on the game.
Well, it was a proper game of two halves, to be honest with you. You can look at it and go, we came back from 2-0 behind to get a point, whereas at halftime it looked like we're out of it. Or you can look at it and at the terms of, we could have won the game, or it's only a point at home to Man United. So we won them, and we were all of a sudden in an outside position for top four, which I think is gone now. I think most of us can agree. But generally positive. I thought we saw signs in that second half, players playing for Ryan Mason. The style of football looked better. It looked like there was a team spirit, a bit of togetherness. So that second half was very, very impressive. And more of that, and we'll be completely fine. So, yeah, I liked what I saw in that second half. So generally good, and looking at it, take the point. But we had two massive chances through Dyer and Son, who, not being funny, they should both be ended up going in the back of the net.
Yeah, perfect. And Perchy, we saw again like a game of two halves, as Harry said. Were you expecting a little bit more fight in that first half from Spurs, or were you kind of used to it by now?
Yeah, I think the latter sort of tells it. I think we're very much used to the way that we play at the moment. We're not great. First half was terrible. I couldn't be bothered watching the rest of the first half after the second goal went in. Let's be honest. I thought it was going to be a cricket score. We were terrible. But that being said, second half, I think it was probably the best second half of football I've seen us play all season. I think we were a lot better. You could argue maybe Man United took the foot off the gas, but then they should have seen it should have been game over at halftime. I thought we were that poor really in the first half. But you're right
100%.
to not see any sort of fight in that first half just sort of sums us up at the moment what we are as a football club, really.
Yeah, definitely. And Gareth, I'll come to you next. Do you think that first half performance was just down to a lack of belief, which then grew into the second half? Or do you think that's the way they were set out to play first half?
I don't know if that's how they were set out. I don't know. I'll be honest. I think there's a lot that's gone on at Spurs this season. I think it's taken its toll in many different ways. Spurs have seemed a shell. Now, I'm not a Poch in, by the way, just so you know. I think when I say this, but the mentality that was through that club at the time during the Poch era was very positive, and it transcended through multiple levels and onto the pitch. And I think we're now starting to see the rot that is Levy and Enoch, with no one protecting them. Poch was the protector. He was like an umbrella, I think, as much as he could be, and gave the fans something to keep them quiet as well with the football that he played. And Jose's thrown Enoch under the bus. Conte's thrown Enoch under the bus. Nuno didn't have a chance to throw Enoch under the bus. And no one's there to protect across the board in so many aspects about with the negativity running through the club. And I think it's showing within the squad. The one positive is Ryan Mason managed to G them up, and get them to come out and put in a good performance. But like Perchy said, I think Man United took off the gas. I think that he made the wrong substitutions. The substitute Fred, nightmare. For me, he lost it from. So I think we had a bit of luck, but we also had a bit of bad luck. We should have won that. based on second half chances. Sonny should have had 2. So
Guy's header's got to go in.
Exactly. Dyer by name, by nature.
That's got to go in.
But yeah, I do. I just think that's. I just think that this season, we've had a couple of moments. The City game, brilliant moment, brilliant game. Not only for Harry Kane's goal and being behind the goal in the North Stand when it went in, just #saying, which was a wonderful moment to share. At the ground. There's not been too much where we've had real opportunity to get excited, and like I said, I think it's starting to seep onto the pitch now. The rot that is Levy and everything beyond closed doors.
I love that we've started this already. I love that we've started this already. This could be a long show. We will get onto that though. So everybody watching, we will get round everyone's views on this because I can imagine there may be some that disagree, there may be some that agree.
To be fair, Luke, I don't see how you. I just saw it as a very. It wasn't me trying to just get it in, get that bold C out of my club. It very much was. I genuinely believe that it's now transcended straight through.
Yeah. And sadly, Josh, what were your thoughts on the United game and kind of second half? Do you think later on in the match they reverted back to Conte ball and decided that, do you know what, a 2-2 draw will do?
Do you know what? I think everyone's been really harsh on that first half in particular. I think I'm going to cause a stir here. It was one of the best first halves we've played. And there's one man and one man alone, which is why we weren't in that game. Well, I say that loosely from an attacking point of view. Son was so lazy in that first half. Everything good that we did do came out of Richarlison, bullying Wan-Bissaka. And I could think of 3 or 4 occasions where Richarlison put a brilliant ball across the face of goal and Son didn't continue his run. He just ambled, walked. I've got a real issue with Son actually in that game. And I think that the goal, which was a scuffed finish, completely saved him from what I think was a complete and utter disaster class. Constantly getting in Pedro Porro's way rather than making a forward run, forcing Porro to then turn and play backwards. And for me, I feel like, yes, second half, things changed because of a couple of factors. One being, I thought we were playing a sort of half mid block in the first half, but in the second half, that line definitely did push up. But I think more than anything, Manchester United were leggy, really, really, really leggy. They played after us. They played 120 minutes. I think if they didn't play into the penalty shootout against Brighton, I think you would have seen a very different Manchester United side. I also think that, yes, we should have won the game 100%. And yes, it was a bit of a baffling substitution to bring on Japhet Tanganga at wing back for Son at that point. Sort of late on after you've equalised, I thought the crowd were really baffling as well. We've come from 2 goals down with a really, really good, well-spirited performance, and our fan base can't even get behind the team. There was not even you could have heard a pin drop when they said 4 minutes of injury time. I think everyone got anxiety after the Bournemouth game. No one wanted to get behind the team, which, again, that doesn't help the players in this situation. But yeah, much better performance, and you would take a draw. I mean, having been absolutely battered by Newcastle, I think a point, I was saying conservative 3-0 to Manchester United is a good result. So, you definitely take it. And it was definitely, I think, a case of the players playing for Ryan Mason, or perhaps the shackles being lifted from that absolutely hideous Conte, Stellini ball, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think perhaps a bit harsh on the first half. I think it was quite good, and we had chances. We just didn't have 1 or 2 individuals prepared to, have the attitude to get on the end of it. And obviously the 2 goals, Ollie Skip, really poor in the 50-50. I thought he had a good game, but he was poor in the 50-50 for that first goal. Well taken strike by Jadon Sancho. And then Ivan Perisic, not letting the ball go out for a corner. I sit on that end, and it was baffling. And between him and the other circus clown, Højbjerg, it was, all the fun of the fair. It was classic Dr. Tottenham, really.
Yeah, Harry, I was going to jump onto that actually, and Josh touched on it, because for the second goal, Ivan Perisic, all he has to do is allow the ball out to go for a corner, and United don't score, and we go in 1-0 down at half time. I know obviously he's fighting and he wants to be able to win the ball, and I actually felt like Perisic had a good game for once for Spurs. I really don't rate him at Spurs at all, but I felt like he had a good game.
Many good games.
Yeah, and Harry, what were your thoughts on that? Him trying to keep the ball in play.
Yeah, firstly, I thought he had a good game. He does play a part in that United second goal. I think both the goals Man United scored overall was quite poor defending. Josh is spot on in terms of it was a very good finish from Jadon Sancho. He's allowed to walk into the box, to cut inside and curl the ball in the corner. You're giving someone a free shot. Have a go. Fraser Forster's never going to get to that. So it is poor defending. I thought it was the same for the first goal. I thought Perisic had a better game. I thought Son was better. I thought Porro was better. I thought it was individuals who have already shown improvement. But with Perisic, he's definitely poor. But the only thing I am going to disagree with Josh on is the first half. I thought we were really not really bad, but I thought that we were lucky to just be 2-0 down. But at the same time, he's spot on in terms of with Richarlison and how Son, that when we needed him, there were so many times where he could have made that run and given that option, and fans are getting frustrated in the end because he's walking into the box when Richarlison's got the ball, he's beat his man in Wan-Bissaka, wanting to put the ball in the box, and there's no one there. So interesting, but with Perisic, he's got to do better, but I'm not going to be too critical because his overall game, there was already signs of improvement.
Yeah, and Perchy, I'll come back over to you. What are your thoughts on Pedro Porro since he signed? Because, the one thing I liked from him on Thursday was when he did score, he looked like he cared. And at the moment, that's really all I care about.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think the bar is so low at the moment when it comes to signings, when it comes to anything. For me, the bar is literally so low that we cling on to absolutely anything at the moment. Yeah, I'll be honest, footballing wise, I don't think he's been a revelation. I think people get really, really excited with the likes of Pedro Porro when he came in. I don't think he's been amazing. I think he's been okay. I think I'm not one to sort of jump and get crazily excited over like signings unless something happens drastically. So I think he's been okay. I mean, good finish, by the way. It was a very good finish, but I think we get a bit excited. I mean, it showed against Newcastle. He can't play right back. That concerns me, but I think we'll be okay though. Like with him, I think long term he's a decent player. In a way, might be better to play him a little further forward, maybe like a right winger or a right midfielder if you have to, a little further forward up the pitch, because attacking wise he's very good. Defensively can't defend. Very similar. It's ironic, isn't it? The only two players a wing back we have at the moment can't defend. Neither of them can defend, which is terrible with the way that we defend periodically. And I think long term you have to sort of figure a way of, do you play like a back four with him a little further forward from the back four into like a right midfield or maybe even a right winger? But down the line we'll have to see where he goes. Yeah,
definitely. I agree to that. And I think that, a top quality elite coach will be able to see that. And if he wants to play four at the back, he'll understand that Porro is not the person to play as a right back. And we've seen worse players be converted into stranger positions. So I could agree with you. I could see him as a inverted winger at times. And I, as you say, the bar is so low at the moment that, just seeing a bit of passion and a bit of effort from some of the players is good to see. Yeah.
Just to sort of catch on with it, the only way you can play him as a right back, by the way, is if we go out and buy a really, really top number 6. Go and buy a number 6 that can just sit into that, and then when you attack, they drop into a back. So it's very similar to what the Wanyama role was under Pochettino. So it can work with him playing at right back, by the way, but you have to build this correctly. We haven't got a DM or a number 6 that is good enough at the moment at Tottenham that can sit back and go, do you know what? I'm going to basically play as a third defender when we're going forward. And then when we defend it, he just covers that sort of pocket area in front of the back four. So there are ways for him to work at the club. And the thing is the irony is we've gone and signed left wing back in a Doji, who is very similar to him in that sense. So, for example, unless you have a proper number 6 or a DM, whatever you want to call it, basically play like an anchor that sits into that little pocket and will cover it. Because otherwise, we haven't got that player. Højbjerg can't play it. Skip can't play it. Basuma can't play it. So you keep listening. We've got so many midfielders at this football club that are exactly the same. We haven't got any variety in midfield.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there.
Yeah.
I think Basuma probably could play there, but he's the only one. And I do think...
You're limiting Basuma because he's got legs on him. Look at what he did at Brighton. I know what you're saying. You're right in saying that he can play it, but he's got legs. He's the midfielder that you can kind of... Everyone likes to use the comparison, but he's the midfielder that can be the Dembele-style player at this football club that can pick it up from deep and push it forward because he's got legs on him.
I see that as Bentancur. I see Bentancur.
Either way, but you sort of get this sort of ideology and what I'm sort of trying to get at.
Basuma next season could work. I think he's been unlucky with injuries.
I think so. But you have to play Basuma in a 3. What was he amazing at Brighton?
Yeah.
You play him in a 3. You don't play him in a 2 because then you're asking too much responsibility on the player that can't do all of that. So
but I always think here in this team, the player or the weakest link is actually, and this might sound really weird, but is the wingers. I think the wingers spoil what this team can be because there's so much adamance on sort of playing a right winger, left winger in this team in a front 3 that it just forces us to be limited in midfield because it is a simple choice. You play a front 2 of Richarlison and Kane as strikers, and then you can put your third man in midfield. But no, we've got to play Kulusevski. We've got to play Son. Son has to play a certain number of minutes in his contract. That is a legitimate thing. In his contract, there's an X number of minutes he's got to play per year, which is also partly why probably he's been playing when in poor form. And so it all comes down to who the next manager is, what kind of system, because I completely have you right there, Perchy. I think you need a Manuel Ugarte type player in as a 6 that is going to drop into centre-back and have the ability to do that and break things up. You also need someone that's really good on both feet, really technical, able to take the ball and play a quick ball forward or play a quick ball out. What we can't have is Ollie Skip, who for me, he's got everything that you need to be a footballer and a good footballer, except for the ability. He's got
that's fair.
Up there,
his
heart, his care, but he's not a good footballer. And he will twist and turn and get himself into trouble. Højbjerg, I think he's good in the squad, but like we say, what is he best at? For me, he's actually best driving forward. You watch how he plays in a 3 for Denmark. He's
Southampton.
Yeah, he's playing almost like more of an attacking midfielder, the way he's able to get forward. So I think, 100%, it is a 6. Otherwise, you leave, those defenders exposed. And I have you completely right on Pedro Porro. Pedro Porro is a winger for me. He's not a wing back. He's not a right back. You can see the quality he's got going. That finish was incredible. Most attacking players who struggle to score a goal like that.
Very calm finish.
Yeah, 100%. You've seen the 2 goals that he scored for us so far. Southampton and this one. He's a winger, clearly. And for me, I would rather see us... I've just seen a comment. Skippy is a modern day Jamie O'Hara. Have you right there?
No, I think it's a bit.
That's really unfair. No.
I think it's unfair.
Yeah, no. Jamie O'Hara.
Do you know what? I'm one of those. I sit there and go, I don't think Ollie Skip's that terrible. By the way, I'm not one of these, but I do get the sentiment as well. But he's a good squad player. Yeah. He's one of those players if you need to tie it up in midfield, I wouldn't say
our lives saying he's a good squad player. Oh, a good squad player.
He's a good
To be fair, every time I've seen Skippy play, the one thing that guy gives up until the final minute is heart and determination. He'll throw but this is where for me Højbjerg and Skip don't work, because at the moment for me they're both very similar. You know, they're both a little bit, I don't know whether I wouldn't say tactically inept. You know, I wouldn't say shit either.
A little bit rash, I would say.
Yeah, they just have that, like you said, they have their moments where the brain just doesn't quite go, oh shit, I should have laid it off there. Instead, I've just got myself into a little bit of trouble or something. But they're both the same. They're both, for me, they're kind of the mop-up men. You know, if somebody gets past, you know, and they start breaking into midfield, Skippy, Højbjerg, they both come back. They both put the challenges in.
You can't play with two of them. You can't.
And you can't have both. And this is where we end up losing. We have a disconnect then between the front line and midfield, because they're too busy mopping up. But you know, like you say though, but the annoying part for me with Højbjerg is because of what he did at Southampton, because of how he plays at Denmark, and we've seen moments of it. You look at a couple of goals he scored, you know, that he scored this season, where he's played as he's drifted in as that attacking midfielder, you know, got through a couple of players and managed to scuff one in, or, you know, ended up being the extra man in the box to score a goal. So it becomes frustrating as well, because I don't know whether that then comes down to tactics, whether that was Conte saying, well, no, Højbjerg, I need you to hold back, when actually there's been those moments where you've seen it for Spurs, where he is better, slightly ahead. But people and you need to go into a three. Højbjerg to work. If you have Bentancur as well, you need if you want Højbjerg to work properly, you need him in a three. It's just who's the third man you put in.
You forget that Højbjerg's played pretty much every minute of every game the last 3 years as well. That's something that people often forget. The guy hasn't had a rest, and I think people scapegoat Højbjerg so much, and they don't actually appreciate what he gives the team. I think he's a player that.
Yes, Dave's listening.
He's great.
Better be listening.
If not playing, you would notice he wasn't playing.
Yes. And everyone's very quick to jump on his back when he doesn't. I'm pro Højbjerg. Yes. I'm pro Højbjerg.
Dave, where are you?
Oh, Dave is listening, mate. Dave is here. Hello, boys. Sorry, I'm not here. I'm actually working, but I thought I'd jump on with the older Højbjerg chat. You are right. We really would miss him if he wasn't playing, because he wouldn't have a dancer in the middle of the pitch, giving it the old.
You need a leader, though, Dave. We have this discussion.
He's not a leader. He's not a leader. We're 3-0 down in 8 minutes, and the guy's laughing.
You need someone.
That's not a leader.
You can't stand there on the pitch because we question where's the leader. That you're someone who wants to get rid of Højbjerg.
He's not a leader, though.
Højbjerg is not a leader.
To be fair, though, Dave, I laughed after 8 minutes, but I laughed in disbelief.
Yeah, but you're not playing, mate. That's the difference.
At the same time, mate, for me, Højbjerg's gone and he's laughed. And I would have done if I was on the pitch. I'd have been in pure disbelief watching that shit show at the back.
But as a leader, would you have laughed?
Probably still, yeah. I still probably would have laughed, because I would have known.
I'm sure he's not the only one, Dave. He's just the only one who's been picked up on it.
It's so hard to see you lot. I've got to try and move somewhere else. I'm like blind.
For me,
sunshine is so bright today.
I would have rather he got a yellow card because he grabbed one of our players by the scruff of the neck and went, sort your fucking shit out. Like, I didn't see, and I think that we weren't going to talk about Newcastle, but I just wanted to say, I think that was the broader problem about that game, is we didn't see any fight and there was no leaders. And I don't agree that Højbjerg's a leader, because if Højbjerg's a leader, he would have gone and rallied everyone after the second goal goes in within 10 minutes.
Guys, he might have been in the dressing room, though. We don't know.
No. It came out after. The people that kicked off in the dressing room was Skippy and Kane.
Yeah. But the thing is irrelevant of the dressing room. But irrelevant of the dressing room, by the way, the biggest problem we had was no one on the pitch. No one after that second goal goes in. I agree. Minutes. And someone just rallied everyone and go, guys, for the next 10 minutes, we're going to just forget about tactics. We're going to sit deeper. We're not going to let them run at us again. If we have to loft it into Rose Ed every single time for the next 10 minutes, we're going to do it. We're going to get out of this, and then we'll start again.
Just to absorb some pressure and pretty much, reset. And that's the problem. Nobody did that. Our captain decided to come off with a fake hip injury at half-time. Now, Luke, if you remember at the start of the season, I told you Fraser Forster would be number one before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Everyone laughed at me. Everybody laughed and said, you're mad. No, he won't. I told you. Lloris is done. The problem with this team is the only player that really wanted to come over and clap the fans was Harry Kane. He'll be off to
that was
United in the summer.
disgraceful.
So the reality of it is this club as a
He's
whole.
only clapping to say goodbye.
The team is a mess. The team is an absolute shit show, and I don't want to get onto it because I know you're not in air yet, but it falls onto one man, and that's that bald little cretin in the boardroom. At the end of the day. And
I started that one already, mate.
Yes, everyone knows my opinions. I'm very, very Enoch out, Levy out. I do think he's done good things to the business side of things, but at the end of the day, he's an interfering little shit who can't leave the football side alone. So, that means in my head he's got to go. But I'll leave you on that. I'm at work. I am listening, so you can say what you want about me, and I will hear you. But Harry, I'm looking forward to hearing some rants.
Dave,
take it easy. I'll see you soon.
All the best, Dave.
See you later.
Take care.
Luke.
Brilliant.
Came in like a wrecking ball, didn't he? Then Jesus.
Cameo.
Right, I'm going to get
love
control of this again for a quick second. And we're going to move on to actually a point that Dave talked about. So, Gareth, I want to come back to you on this one and talk about Fraser Forster, because I completely agree with Dave. I don't believe, and Josh may be able to enlighten us a little bit more, but I don't believe that Hugo Lloris is injured. I think it's as simple as, it's very convenient that 5-0 down at half time, he gets subbed off with an injury.
Mate, listen, I don't care what backlash I get from anybody for what I'm about to say, but typical French surrender monkey. Right. And oh my God, 5 shots.
Controversial.
Fucking surrender monkey.
Do you want to go into it? Do you want to go into it?
Right, for me, with
Hugo Lloris,
it's very simple.
For me, with Lloris, right, he has not been when we had, and I've said this time and time again, right, is when we still had Friedel there pushing him because Friedel wanted to be number one still. Yeah. We were getting the best out of Lloris, right, and then we've had little flashes of moments through seasons where you might have thought Gazaniga might have been popping in quick, where he where he thinks that what's his name, the rapper from Atalanta might have had half a chance, and then he settles back down. He's too comfortable. He's too comfortable in the fact that he knows his name's going to be on that team sheet. He knows he's getting his money every week. He knows he's going to be between the sticks, and it don't matter whether he lets in 5 or he saves 5. He's got no competition and he's got no hunger. He's a lot better when he plays for the French national team. But this like most things, it's down to then recruitment, then circles back round to that daft bastard, sat signing the checks. We need to have 2 number ones. Do I think we should have gone in and got Henderson even on loan? Yes. Do I think it would have pushed Lloris? Yes. But Fraser Forster, I was happy with the Forster signing. I rate him as a goalkeeper. I do. I'm not surprised that it looks like he's going to be sat there, with a fake injury, granted. Right, which I think is actually a disservice to Forster, because he's earned the right to be stood between the sticks and to be given the opportunity as number one, rather than it being put down in the media and whatever other circles that it's only because of an injury.
It wasn't an injury, by the way, guys. It was.
I know it's not an injury.
I'm not. I won't go into what actually went down from what I've been told, but attitude not good enough for this level for me.
Let's just say I heard that he was the brunt of most of the disruption at halftime.
Yeah, so it was, put it this way, the decision was not that of the manager. It was that of the player. But yes.
I was going to say his injury is going to all subsequently be 5 weeks long, which is ironically exactly at the end of the season. He'll be out until the end of May. Watch.
Look at what happened, right? When he was asked about it at full time, he was like, If it was injury, you'd say, "Oh, I got an injury, got picked up, felt some discomfort in my knee or whatever it was," right? I know because I've seen him do it before. But just kind of wanted to gauge you guys' views on this, really, because I certainly, when Forster was announced as starting against Man United, I had a big sigh of relief. I was like, I feel a lot better about this game. I was thinking 3-0 to Man United before the game. I was thinking, we might actually get something out of this game now. because there's just one less, sort of circus clown to worry about. Lloris has been a brilliant goalkeeper for us down the years, but it's, clearly past his best. If you saw him in the fridge, you'd throw it straight out. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of those that, and even though, his kicking wasn't perfect, it was pretty close to perfect, I would say, from a goalkeeper, because you're never going to have a goalkeeper that has a 100% pass rate, long and short. But not once did I fear for us because of the goalkeeper. And not once was I in a situation where I thought, we're going to be under pressure. We're going to put ourselves under pressure when we've just defended something off the line because of the goalkeeper. So, for me, naturally, he's the number one, and he should be for the remainder of the season, irrespective of what, fake injury.
And this is it. He's not going to get the credit for merit that he's, because he is better than.
Yeah.
That annoys me because he's a good keeper.
How many one-on-one saves did he make? How many times did he make himself big? How many times did he get down when people say, "Oh, he's 6'7", he can't get down"? He did.
Yeah,
3 or 4 times.
But I think you're right in a sense, because at the moment it's going down to him getting the place because of an injury, when it's not true.
Yeah.
He's getting it out, and you're right in that sense. I agree. I think we've actually seen the last of Hugo Lloris at this football club. I'll be honest. I don't see there's a way that he comes back next season now. If I'm truly honest.
Here you go. I've got a daft question for you. Just a very quick, simple one. Right? If Lloris had been in goal when Bruno went through and put it off the crossbar, for me, that's a third goal. But I think because of the way Forster presents himself, makes himself big.
Did he get a touch to it, by the way?
Mate, I've been.
I've heard some people say that he got a little touch to it and sent it to the crossbar.
Very, very faint touch.
Yeah, he did. He did.
That's what I mean. For me, Lloris, that's going in. Yeah. For me, that was going in if it was Lloris.
Yeah.
It was both saves that were. Yeah, I was behind it, and you could see. I mean, people don't give him the credit, and in the first half there was that ball over the top. Dyer doing what Dyer does best, and he darts out his goal, just throws himself, makes himself as big as possible, saves it with his inner thigh or whatever it was, and Lloris wouldn't do that. Lloris would be running out, diving to the floor and get around it, a bit like the goal against Newcastle, I think Fraser Forster will forever, in my eyes, be a goalkeeper that is one of the most underrated and underappreciated for his whole career.
Spot on.
Yeah.
That save as well was very Courtois-esque. I don't know if you saw the Real Madrid-Chelsea game when Courtois saved the shot from Cucurella. I think it's very, very similar to that. He made himself big.
Awesome.
He got his limbs out. And that's the thing about Forster, is his presence and his stature is massive compared to Hugo Lloris. And, I don't disagree with Gareth about Dean Henderson. I'd have loved to see him. And I still think he is a very viable option because he wants to be number one at United, and I don't think he will be. And so I think he is definitely a viable option that we should be looking at in the summer.
Yeah, I agree.
But let's move on anyway and talk about tomorrow's game against Liverpool. Can I just go around the house again before we get into the nitty-gritty about Enoch and managers and things like that to end the show? So, Harry, let's start back with you again. It's been a while since you've had anything to say. Are you optimistic now after the Manchester United game? This vulnerable Liverpool side, if we can cause them problems, or are you still concerned about our back line?
Well, you have to be concerned about our back line. I mean, you're talking about Tottenham's defence at the end of the day. That Man United game, especially the second half, gives me a little bit more confidence. If let's say, the first half, Man United being 2-0 up and it would have stayed like that for the rest of the game, they would have had absolutely no confidence going in this. I would have had no confidence under Salini or Conte either, to be fair. However bad Liverpool are this season, or however bad they play at Anfield in big games, they always seem to turn up eventually. It's never going to be easy. I say it now, a point definitely going to Anfield isn't too bad. I mean, we saw Arsenal go there. We saw even them crumble, which looks like it's seen them in the end bottle the title. That was the start of it, which is funny. Let's face it, but no, it all started there. Liverpool found a different type of way of playing. I think it's more without the ball. They're impressive. Alexander-Arnold kind of slots into midfield, and the way they've developed his game in the last 2 or 3 games, including that Arsenal game, and the whole team just seems to be a lot better. You've got players like Jota who are more informed than ever. You've got Salah's who look sharper. So it's not going to be easy, but I have a little bit of confidence now going into it than I would have had before that United game. But you just never know. But I think we'll be lucky to come away with anything.
Optimistic as always, Harry. Perchy, are you any more optimistic?
Optimistic about us at Anfield.
Yeah, exactly.
Does anyone remember the last time we actually won at Anfield? It's
a long time.
Yeah, a very, 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 very long time. So, am I optimistic? No, because it's Tottenham Hotspur. We're not great at Anfield. But yeah, I think for me, they've picked up some form. They're starting to actually play better and starting to win games now. No, I'll be truly honest. No, as I said, but this isn't just about Liverpool. I don't see us beating many teams at the moment. I don't see us beating any team at the moment. I mean, the Bournemouth game was a great example because I expected us to beat Bournemouth, but we didn't. So I kind of got to a stage where I don't expect us to win any game of football anymore because we don't know what Tottenham show up. It could be the Tottenham against Bournemouth or the second half against Man United, which was good. So realistically, for now, I don't personally care at the moment about how we play for the rest of the season. I think for me, it's a glorified pre-season now up until the start of the next season. Now it's an extended pre-season. Who don't we not want and stuff? I think the biggest problem is long term, and we're obviously going to talk about it after this. But yeah, we're talking about Liverpool. Do I feel confident? No, never do at Liverpool. I've never felt confident going to Liverpool.
Yeah, fair enough. Gareth, just jump to you. So, who do you think will play in our front line? And are you at all confident of this game?
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the same setup as we saw against United, from front to back. As it, but we obviously with Forster there's the change between the sticks. Am I confident? Yes and no. We know what Liverpool are very capable of. We know what Spurs can be capable of if they pull their fingers out and decide to play football. But also Liverpool haven't had they've had a bit of an up and down one as well. This has got all the markings of a very well played and a very entertaining draw, or Spurs revisiting St James's Park, and being 4-0 down after 20 minutes. In my eyes, I don't see us going out and winning. Like I say, Perchy said, we haven't won at Anfield for God knows how long. But yeah, for me, it's either going to be a very entertaining draw, or we're not going to have even warmed up and we're going to be 4-0 down again. So yeah, probably not confident then.
Yeah, and Josh, what are your thoughts? Klopp's comments, because he always seems to want to say something before or after a game against Spurs. Well, he wants to say things about most teams, but what did he call us this week? I think he said one of the best counter-attacking teams in the world.
Europe. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
he's a weirdo, isn't he? Jurgen Klopp's just a bit of a weirdo.
He's weird.
Wow.
Obviously a great coach, but he always seems to. Do you know what? And I think it's probably deliberate because Tottenham are historically, Chiellini, it's the history of a Tottenham. We are historically weak mentally. We are historically. How often do Tottenham fans get rattled? All the time. So, of course, you're going to use any mind games possible. But, I just don't see it. I think, I don't know what Jurgen Klopp's watching, but he's obviously saying we're going to prepare for the best Tottenham. And the best Tottenham probably is one of the best counter-attacking teams. in Europe, but we're a long way off that, you know. And I think even last season we weren't there. I think, you know, perhaps under Mourinho, when we were top of the league in that first half of the season, I would have gone, yeah, 100%. But I think, it's probably just mind games. But the thing that I also noticed about Liverpool, and this is one to dig out in the archives if you're sad enough like me to look through these things. Every time we played at Anfield over the last 7 or 8 years, Liverpool have had at least 1 day's extra rest. And this time they've had 2. Why is it that every time we go to Anfield, Liverpool get more rest? I have no idea.
It's check club badge, isn't it?
It's interesting that. Yeah.
I'm not.
It's interesting that because I remember
I'll get in trouble.
If I speak.
But it's true. Do you know what? A draw would be a good result at Anfield. And I think we're capable of getting a draw at Anfield. Liverpool can't keep a clean sheet. I think you need to start with Richarlison and give him as much of the game as possible. My fear is that we will revert back to Kulusevski, Son and Kane. And Kulusevski, you know, I've been very critical of him. He was superb when he came on. He was absolutely superb against Man United. But Richarlison has to start that game. He hates Liverpool. He's got the Everton kind of background. He's physical. Have Richarlison, you know, giving Conte a hard time. And Conte, you know, I mean, it's a case of the Chagla Soyuncu, in my opinion, where he was unbelievable one year and then just absolutely fell off a cliff the next. But he's managed to do that in the space of about 10 games.
He's also got that point to prove side of him at the moment, though, hasn't he? You know, Conte's now left. You know, he's you know, I think, to be fair, that is he's very selfish in some respects in the way he is, I think, as a person. But you look at how he was, because it's for him, he's coming on. It's like, all right, I'm now going to prove a point. You know, saying earlier about
he's not been fit and he's not been played in the right position all season. Season, and I won't have any slander.
Because he's got that point to prove attitude to him, hasn't he? And now he showed it against United. You saw how he did. You know, one of the better players on the pitch.
If we had 11 players with the mindset of Richie, we'd be a much better team. Much better team. He cries when we lose. He cries when he gets substituted. You know, a lot of people might not like that, but it's just because he wants to win games. You know, if you have players, and I would say this about all the South American boys, you know, especially Emerson Royale, for example, who I'm hoping might be back in the squad. You know, these players that Royale wants all the hate to be read out to him in the car on the way back. You know, if we had players like that throughout the team, we wouldn't be that soft-spined, you know, Tottenham. We would be a completely different beast. And against Liverpool, you've got to be mentally sound. You've got to be willing to fight for every single ball. And, you know, we all know what Andy Robertson's like, right? You know, I don't think anyone likes Andy Robertson. I think he's I can't say on here what I think of him genuinely. But
you want to see him next Tuesday, do you?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you can't have players with a soft underbelly going up against players like that. You can't at all. Mm-hmm. If you don't, you're absolutely right. It's going to be 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7-0. But with the right attitude and the right team selection, for me, Davis has to start at wing back as well. You can go and do what we did last season, which was remarkable. And I thought we were so unlucky not to win at Anfield. It was that Højbjerg header, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. You know, so things can happen. Stranger things can happen. But, you know, at the end of the day, irrespective of the result, you know, there are bigger problems at the football club.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
Agree.
Yep.
Yeah. And Josh, I'll come back to you quickly, mate. What's your score prediction for tomorrow? We always like to post it out on Twitter. So what do you think the score's going to be?
Oh, please don't do this to me. I'm going to go Liverpool 2-1 to Liverpool, yeah. Aim low.
Okay. We'll come back round the group. We'll come back round the group. So, Gareth, what do you think score's going to be?
I'm going to go 2-2. I'll take the draw.
Okay. Perchy?
We're going to probably... So it's one of those for me. We're going to probably lose 3-1, but if Harry Kane goes and has another worldie game, we might go and get a draw out of it. It's a weird one. As I said, we're always in the fight because we've got Harry Kane in our team, but if he doesn't have a great game, then we'll probably lose the game. So I'm going to say we'll lose 3-1. And then if we
Can I just put this out there? You remember how Kane scored that nice goal at the Etihad to make it 3-2 with only minutes to go?
Yep.
I know I said 2-2, but it's just crossed my mind. Can you imagine Richarlison just banging one in with a couple of minutes to go?
Imagine. Hasn't
Yeah.
scored a Premier
First official goal. First Premier League goal for Spurs against Liverpool.
Premier League goal. He does it down the cop and wheels away at the cop and shuts him up. That would be
doesn't have to buy your when he scored against City and just goes straight in front of the Liverpool fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see that from him.
Amazing. Harry, what are you saying?
Well, I'm not feeling optimistic. As I said, I'm a tiny bit more after that Man United game, but so I'm going to reduce the margin that we're going to lose by. If you'd asked me before that Man United game, I would have gone, we're going to do Man United. We're going to go there. We could seriously get absolutely thumped. I think that's still sadly a possibility. I'm going to go 4-1 Liverpool. I sadly think that is realistic. I think Liverpool at Anfield always seem to be on it. They're in a good patch of form. 4-1 Liverpool, and I think we get a consolation goal through Kane.
Any chance we can get that linesman in so Robertson shits himself and decides to stay in the tunnel?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
And I'm going to say, I think I predicted last night on Day Trippers 1-1, so I'll have to stick with that. Right, so we've got approximately 10 minutes left, so let's get on to the nitty-gritty. I'm going to go round the group and kind of ask for a short piece on A, who you think the next Spurs manager should be, and B, your thoughts on ENIC and the board. So do you know what? I'm going to go back around. So I'm going to start with Josh again.
Yeah, so who should the manager be? For me, it all depends on director of football, to be honest. I think I would say Julian Nagelsmann 100% if you get Ralf Rangnick as your director of football. I think that's really what you'd want. I think, to be honest, I'd take Mourinho back and Campos. But to be honest, I will get behind whoever it is, right? But I'm still on the kind of, I want Gallardo or Arne Slot. I want to give a young manager a chance. I want something a bit different. I want crazy front foot, exciting attacking football. I want to go and feel like I've got my money's worth paying the season ticket. You know, I want to just be entertained. And then, you know, who it probably will be. I think Tottenham will Daniel Levy will find a way to screw up the Nagelsmann deal. You know, I'd love to see it happen. We could end up with like Paulo Fonseca or someone like that. Who knows? I mean, there's every possibility when Daniel Levy's in charge. I don't think the Scott Munn appointment will do anything. I think that's just another layer of bureaucracy between the powers that be and us fans, and something to shut us up as a fan base and kind of buy more time. This is the thing. He's a master manipulator. It's all about, you know, how can I buy myself an extra 18 months? Can I buy myself an extra 2 years? Managerial appointment could do that, you know, and this is the thing. And this is why I really urge fans to keep going and not stop, irrespective of who the manager is, irrespective of how good the football is. Man United fans are not in a bad situation right now. They've won a cup this year. They're playing good stuff. They've got a manager who gets the club in Ten Hag. And clearly, I'm looking at Man United and I'm thinking they've got every chance of winning the league next year, right? And they still want Glazers out. Liverpool have won Champions Leagues, Premier Leagues. They still want FSG out. Why are our fan base so spineless in these situations? You know, let's get them out. Let's keep going, because ultimately, yes, Daniel Levy's done a great job at the club in terms of the business side of things. But what are the guarantees that Daniel Levy can genuinely keep his fingers out of the pie and stick to the business? Because
never.
His failure to do that was the reason why Paul Barber left the board in 2005. It's the reason why Paul Mitchell left in, I think, 2015. Levy was the reason why we had Hitchin, one of the most damaging appointments the club has ever made. Levy is ultimately the reason why a lot of people that can do good in the job aren't able to do what they want 100% of the time. And Nagelsmann's been clear, and this is also why Nagelsmann's probably a good shout. He's been very clear he wants the German system, which is that a manager is told or a head coach is told, this is your transfer budget, this is your wage budget.
Never
you
going to get
have
that.
no autonomy over that. And if you want to go over your transfer budget or wage budget, you have to sell players to supplement that. And I'm not going to read too much into Rangnick's comments that he wants Nagelsmann to take the job. He's also the Austria manager, and there's no guarantees he's going to leave that job. But yeah, ultimately, we're in for 22 more years of failure if our fan base don't come together. And the other thing I would say just finally is, we've seen the likes of Brian Daigle and Billy Cairns and all of that lot, outside the ground every game. I've spoken to them, I've seen them, I know them well, and we've also now got Change for Tottenham. And we've got other little splinter groups here and there. Now is the time, and I know some of the people in Change for Tottenham, good people, that also know Brian, also know Billy, also know all those people, right? It's time to come together, right? Let's not have a situation where it's us and them, too many cooks to boil the broth. Let's come together as a fan base, and try and convince every single Spurs fan that's on the fence. Because there are some people that will die on the rock and love Levy until they die, and they will get into bed with Donna Cullen if they want. But we have to come together. That's the only way. And I really hope we do. And I believe we can. I think we do have it in us as a fan base.
Perfect. Thanks, Josh. Nice and short and sweet.
Can I jump in before I got to go?
As you're here, if you could keep the language, if you could keep the language to a minimum.
Of course.
Your thoughts on that and quick thoughts.
I mean, I'm at work, so I can't really say too much, Luke. But so manager, I think I want Nagelsmann, obviously, but I want a good director of football that can work with Nagelsmann. What's the guy at PSG? Campos. I know he's available again. He's leaving PSG, so that would be my shout for sporting director. I would probably look at Arne Slot. I think is a good option as well. But realistically, I think we'll get Postecoglou. I think that will be the next manager. The reason I say Postecoglou is because of the Scott Munn link. I think that's one of the reasons why he's been brought in, because of the Asia links, because of those leaks. So I think it'll be Postecoglou. Everyone knows my thoughts on Levy, Enoch, Donna Cullen, the whole lot of the amateur hour, as I like to call it. Daniel Levy is the reason why so many good people, like Josh said, has failed at our club, because he can't keep his finger out the pie. He's like a 5-year-old with a cookie jar in front of him. He just has to touch. And, the reality of it is, if we don't do something to try and change it, and I've said about all of coming together again and do something about it to actually effect change. And I put out a tweet the other day saying a ripple can become a wave can become a tsunami, but you all have to get behind it. And if you're happy with this rinse and repeat monotony and going through the same process every 18 months, then more for you. But I'm not happy with that. We're a massive club. We've got a massive stadium. We've got huge wealth behind us, yet we spend like we're Southampton or Bournemouth. We have all these executive deals that we keep doing with Formula One courses, or whatever, go-kart tracks, or whatever you want to call it, and all these deals we keep doing, yet the team never sees the benefit of that. So I think realistically what you need to look at from a whole is, if you're happy with mediocrity and you're happy with a clown like Daniel Levy running a ship, football isn't for you, in my opinion. Go study business. We are a football team. We are not an entertainment FC. We are not a business. We are a football team first, and that's what needs to come first. So Daniel Levy has proven that for 22 years he cannot keep his finger out the pie. He cannot let the cake cook without eating it before it's ready. So as far as I'm concerned, language to a minimum, but fuck him, and get rid of all of them. That's all I've got to say on it. But, we've all got to get behind the movement and get behind the protest, because it's all good sitting here and saying, things have got to change, it's hard, it's everything stuff. If you're not willing to do anything about it, what good are words? But you've got to put those words into action, so I want to jump on and say my bit, but I've got to get back to work. But Harry, Luke's disappeared off, but I'll let you take over for now. But boys, I hope to see you all again on the show. Sorry I can't be there in person today, but I'll see you all soon.
Take care, Dave. Pleasure to have you on. Perchy, your thoughts. You're next.
I get the microphone. So change has to happen at this football club correctly. We need, and I think I echo what everything has been said here. For me, the deals with these business deals and stuff like that, I have no issues with. I have no issues, because it's the whole point of us to have the stadium. The whole point of us to have this stadium was to put as much crap in it as possible. Have no issues with that, because this is how we financially generate money, and that's how we're making money. Biggest issue has been our recruitment at this football club. The recruitment has been atrocious. One thing I did disagree with what Dave was saying. We do spend money. We spend money.
Yeah.
But we spend money terribly. We've got one of the worst scouting teams in the country. It's square pegs, round holes all the time. We splashed 60 million quid on Richarlison when we knew we were desperate for a centre half. Desperate. I think as I said, our recruitment's been terrible. Our appointment of managers has been terrible. Listen, we have no philosophy, no ideology at this football club. And for me, that's the biggest problem. Because, listen, I want change for the better of this football club, because I genuinely believe if you get the right people in at the right moment, in exactly the same way that we operate, we should be in the conversations with the likes of Arsenal, Liverpool. Listen, I don't think we're going to be at a level unless we go and get a massively oil baron owner that we're going to be competing financially with the levels of Manchester City. However, Arsenal have proven that you can spend the levels that we would spend and be in a competition with them, because they've got an ideology and a recruitment strategy that has worked over a period. Same with Liverpool, same with Man United, again, is slightly different, and Newcastle equally also different. For me, I agree with everyone on the panel here. The protests are important now. Change for Tottenham's important. I said this on my channel. I say this on Twitter. This isn't about point scoring when it comes to different ideologies on how we're going to press forward for change. Because I don't think change happens at a click of a finger. I don't think because a few thousand people are protesting that it's going to make any difference. But what it does do is it does force pressure. And you're noticing the pressure from everyone commenting on the social media posts with exactly the same picture. Thousands of people using the "enough is enough, Levy out" poster. It forces pressure. The sense of the committee being announced after the shambles at St James's Park. That isn't a coincidence. That is done because of absolute pressure. And the biggest one I think Josh echoed it very well. This isn't because we're losing games of football. This is how I'll know with the way that this fan base genuinely does want change, because everyone's allowed an opinion. I always say this. I'm not one of these who will blame fans for anything. If fans don't want change, then they're more than entitled to that opinion. I personally do want change. But we'll see the reaction from the fan base. Because I said, win, lose, if we'd have beaten Man United, would collectively, I'm not talking about the people that are staunch Levy and Enoch outers. I'm talking about the ones that are sort of balancing on that fence. I thought the Newcastle reaction was that a lot of people jumped over. What I don't want to see, let's just say, for example, we completely end our away record at Anfield on Sunday. and we go and win 3-1. Let's just say, hypothetically, don't think it's going to happen, but hypothetically, are we going to see the same reaction from a lot of the people within the fan base? For me, that's the key point, because you can't be Enoch and Levy out if you're going to flip-flop every 5 minutes depending on it. Oh, well, it's all great now because we won at Anfield. No. We could go and win. We could win trophies and I'll still be in the same position. We could win FA Cups and I'll be in the same position. What I just want to see now is a plan, because I think that's the key part for me. And I did say I'll keep it short and sweet, and I really haven't. But the plan is the key problem. The next manager has to work with the director of football. That person has to work with Scott Munn. We have to create a plan at this football club from top down. And at the moment, for me, Daniel Levy cannot be involved in the footballing side of this club. Listen, if it means if the next step is Levy the board have made a decision that he is to not be involved with the footballing side of this club, that's step one. Because I don't think he just quits out because a few thousand people say it. I look at it, the next step has to be he cannot be involved in the footballing side of stuff as of next season, as of the end of this season, personally. If that makes sense. So I have rambled on a bit, but if you got my point on that, we do need genuine change. And that's what change for Tottenham is at the moment. We need to start working on that bit. That's all I'm going with. I'll leave it at that one.
But the bottom line is change.
I completely agree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Change is exactly.
And I agree. I don't think anybody that is like, I would class myself as like Evie and Enoch and Levy neutral, in the sense of I respect what's happened, but I also want change at the same time. What I want though is I want respected change, and I want people to be respectable to each other. I want it to be inclusive, and I want it to be, as a few people have said, no toxicity, no biases, no anger. In that sense, I want it to be inclusive for all, but I also do want to see some change. Gareth, what are your thoughts?
I'm actually glad that we skipped things out. I spent a lot of time thinking about getting into bed with Donna Cullen after Josh put it into my head. Just trying to think whether I would or I wouldn't. Or would I rather like dangle my bits in a piranha tank? I'm not sure. Anyway, to back to the whole Levy thing. It's I pretty much said what I said at the beginning. It's the toxicity is dripping down now through the club, and he needs to be and sort of reiterating what the guys have said already. Levy needs to stay away from the football side of things. Guy needs to stay away from it completely. He needs to keep his fingers out the pies. He needs to stop fondling it and fiddling with it, and let the football people get on with it. Let him build the hotel. Let him build the restaurants, right, and increase the portfolio. We know that's what you're good at. Yeah? Stay away from the football. Say to the club, this is the money you've got. Exactly like Josh said. And to be fair, I'm surprised that Tottenham don't adopt that. So every season they go, all right, there's £150 million. There's, £5 million for wages, whatever. And go, right, we're going off to go look at some land now. I'm going to build a pool. And that for me is the best way for it to be dealt with. But is Levy ever going to not interfere? No. Because he thinks he's the world's greatest businessman across all platforms. He's going to get involved, and he just needs to fuck off. There you go. Short, sweet.
Yeah.
Well,
Mate, that's absolutely perfect. Harry, do you have anything to add, or you just echo what everyone else says?
I echo what everyone else says. I think they're spot on. Levy, step away from the football side of things. I think it is clear that change is needed. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, of course. The protests must be done peacefully, and it must be inclusive, like you say, Luke. But we've got to a point where enough is enough. Nothing's going to change. We've got no director of football, we've got no plan, we've got no identity, we've got no ambition. If we do well for the rest of the season, we must keep putting the pressure on Levy. But at the same time, if we fail, instead of taking out Mason or individuals like Sanchez who get booed off the pitch. Take it out on Levy. He's the one who makes the decisions at the end of the day. Take it out on him because it is nothing enough. And I can't echo enough how I support what Change for Tottenham are doing and what Brian Daly are doing. It was a pleasure to meet them both before the game, and what I can do to help them. I think they're doing a fantastic job. The numbers grew, and for anyone who says the protests don't work, then they're absolutely clueless, because they're getting interviews from Talk Sport, Sky Sports, back pages of the Sun. And it's forced action, it's forcing pressure, because before that Man United game, that fan advertising board was launched, Stellini was sacked, and Ryan Mason was appointed. I promise you, none of those things would have happened if that protest wasn't going to take place. They were worried about the reaction Thursday, and for their sake, they're glad that we didn't end up losing 3 or 4. Time was a huge possibility. Man United fans, respect to them. They're winning 2-0. They're in a good place at the club at the moment. They've already won a trophy in the League Cup, and they're on for a very, very successful season. But they continue singing Glazers out very, very loudly, even though they're 2-0 up. We don't do it at 2-2. So I think,
but Harry, sorry. I was just going to say, Harry, just on that point, what you were going to say though, the difference is with Man United is they're basically everyone is in the same boat with them, with the Glazers situation at their club.
They've united as fans.
They've united, but they've all united for the same cause. So
yes.
and this isn't people that, because this isn't people that we're not even united on Levy and Enoch out. There's people that think it should be done this way, that way, or the other. Mm-hmm. They're united as a front. That's why. Listen, win, lose or draw, they're Glazers out. I don't see that with our fan base yet.
Whereas our fans, it depends on the result.
Well, yeah, of course it is. But the thing is we're not at their level yet. And that's the problem. We've got fans that aren't at that level, and this is what I always reiterate. It's all about education with fans. It's not about pointing the blame. That's why I never blame fans. But what it's all about is that education.
You got fans attacking each other though. That's
what I mean. I get attacked saying that I support. I get attacked saying that I'm not so Levy out and stuff, because I sit and talk about stuff. I debate stuff with people. I said it doesn't
hurt me for singing. That I wanted to get him out of the club, and
I got that.
And I had to explain at half time. I got them on side because I said to them, "Look, I will sing for the players, and I've lost my voice singing for the players, but I will also sing that I want the owner out, because I want the owner and the chairman out of the club." But a lot of fans, and the key word, I think the watchword with all of this is distraction. Everything is distraction. Let's, it's an absolute, shit show, right? Let's get in Mourinho. Let's get in Conte. Distraction. Yeah. All is well at the club. No problems. Buys him, 2 more years. This is the problem. And our fan base are, frankly, in many cases, a lot of them are thick enough to fall for it every time. How does the saying go? It's fool me once.
Shame on you. Fool me twice. Shame on me.
Exactly. Yeah. And how many times have we been fooled? Hundreds, thousands.
I just wanted. You're right. I just wanted to touch on what Has just said. I think there's the thing is there's a massive difference between Levy out and Glazers out, because it's actually we're in different levels at their football club. They're a massive institution. What's happening at Man United is that it's actually we're protesting for the complete opposite reasons to them. We're complaining because we create a lot of revenue and the money doesn't get put into the football inside. What happens at Man United is they create astronomical amounts of money because they're Man United. And yes, and they buy players, massive players, because they can afford to. What they're protesting is their owners. What they're doing is they're taking dividends out of the football club and putting it in their back pockets. They're taking money. We're in a way, what we're not doing is we're not investing money in the right areas. So weirdly, Man United would swap a lot of what we're doing. We'd swap with a lot of what they're doing, because we want playing staff. They want infrastructure. So weirdly, we've got the infrastructure. They've not, because everyone knows that Old Trafford is falling apart. Ronaldo came out with that interview at Piers Morgan saying that their infrastructure in the training facility said it's 10, 15 years out of date. Where weirdly, we're completely the opposite. We've got such an industry when it comes to that. And that's the slight difference with what Man United are protesting. They're protesting that they want their football club back because they feel like these owners are basically taking their money away from them. They pay all their money and it gets taken out through the back door in dividends.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, kind of to wrap that up, as you say, you know, the Glazers have a huge, everything is bank loaned, and then they take dividends out, and that's the biggest issue. But I want to thank you all for coming on today. We're going to go around the houses now, tell everyone how they can find you before my internet completely dies on me. So Josh, we'll start with you. How can everyone find you?
At Josh Hughes TV, Twitter.
Oh, cheers.
As quick as that.
That was short and sweet. How can everyone find you?
Wherever I've hauled myself out to, mate. Yeah, today it's you and Scarfy this morning. I'll be on with Bobby K tonight at 10:30 UK time with his boys on their show, and then whoever gets to my agent next and books me in, I guess.
Perfect. Thank you for coming on. Perchy, how can everyone find you?
Thanks for having me.
Find me on Twitter at the Perchy on Twitter. You can find me on my YouTube channel. It's going for about 6 weeks. So if you haven't, please sub. We're trying to push for the 1K soon. 525 in 6 weeks has been brilliant. It's been a really good time. So yeah, sub to me there. You'll see me there. I'll just try and bring out as much content as I can, roll it all out. So yeah, big up. Thanks guys, anyone that has done. At the Perchy TV, if you're there.
Perfect. Harry, how can everyone find you?
Yeah, thank you for having me on once again. So always a pleasure to be here every single Saturday. You can find me, my Twitter tag's there, HarryScarf22. YouTube channel, Scarfy Spurs still going well. Nearly at 700 subscribers. That's perfect. Got a show Monday, 8 p.m. The last one was really, really big, where we had Brian Daigle and Billy on, along with another 3-4 guests. Building up the protests. The numbers were good. But yeah, appreciate you having me back on here again. You can find me, as I said, my Twitter tag is there, producing content for Spurs fans. But most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to Park Lane Podcast if you're new. Follow all these guys. You follow Perchy's channel as well. And big up to Dave in the chat, who's also dropped his Twitter tag there. And I enjoy plenty of arguments, especially when it comes to Højbjerg with Dave. I agree with some things he says, but not when it comes to Højbjerg. I think he needs a bit of education on that. But hey ho, thank you for having me on.
I'll have you right there.
Perfect. I want to thank you all for joining. I want to thank everyone for coming on today, everyone watching, everyone commenting, and all of that. Make sure you go and follow all of these people on their social medias, and make sure you also like and subscribe to this channel if you fancy it. Thank you all once again for joining. Let's hope we get something to cheer about this weekend, and we can move on. But everyone keep pushing with their protests. Everyone keep pushing with their identity, and yeah, we'll see you all next time. So thank you very much for joining in, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.